Okay. Whoops. All right, guys, feel free to ask me questions as we go along with this. I don't know how long this tutorial is going to take. I mean, this could be 10 minutes. This could be... The other one took way longer than I even expected, like maybe 40 minutes. But yeah, this is going to be going on YouTube. So if you're watching this at home... second. If you're watching this at home, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is very hard to get any presence on YouTube unless you're subscribed, unless you're liking the videos. So yeah, please do that. It's really appreciated. It really helps me out a ton. So this lesson, so first of all, if you missed this, the previous lesson, go back to that. That's where this all starts. The previous lesson was on hotkeys and how to have the right setup so that when you start to learn the game, you're not doing it with bad habits here. So this is going to be a lesson entirely about the probe. We're doing all of our lessons from the Protoss perspective. So if you're following along with me in these lessons, I promise you're going to improve. But I'm going to be showing you guys some stuff you know and some stuff you don't know. One of the things I've discovered over, basically devoting my life to StarCraft and teaching a lot of people long before I was ever casting, was that lots of people have little nuggets of knowledge and are then missing other big parts. And so in a game that's this mechanical, I want to show you basically everything you need to know about the probe, how you can use it, tricks, techniques that are going to make you a better player. We're going to get to bigger stuff like theory and build orders later because that stuff doesn't really matter if you can't control your units. And so that's why we're going to start with this angle. I find that this is definitely the best way. Uh-oh, we're about to get eliminated? All right. So I find that is definitely the best approach. So in case you guys are wondering what's going on here, I just used the cheat codes to basically get everything set up so that we can experiment with this. And I would actually recommend you do the same thing as well and just save this to a file on your computer. You type in the cheat codes, show me the money, Operation Seawall, The Gathering, all this other stuff. So you can get everything, because it's important that you experiment in the game that's not just in a live game. A lot of the very best players in the world are focused on practicing stuff outside of an actual live game. So they know exactly how everything works and how to do stuff. It doesn't seem like it's as fun, but if you do this, you're going to be a lot more comfortable. I'm sure you guys that already play a lot of Protoss have had to practice your wall-in setups, especially in PvZ. Same idea. And if you missed any of those codes, you can just Google StarCraft 1 cheat codes. And that's only so you can set up something like this that you can toy around within the game. So let's get this going. First of all, the probe, one of the best units in the entire game. For so many reasons. It's actually great in fights. It's got a lot of ways that it could trip up your opponent. The way that Protoss builds is basically a superior way compared to Terran and Zerg. It's one of the advantages the race has. And so, first of all, in general in StarCraft, guys, when it comes to moving, a right click will almost never suffice. To do this is always better. See this? How I'm leading and right clicking? Every time I right click, it resets the pathing. Because you'll notice a lot of times if you send workers out or send them places, they'll bounce off stuff, they'll slow down. And so if you have nothing else to devote your APM to, whether it's the probe or any other unit, spamming right click like this is good. It's efficient. And you'll feel that when you're moving the probe around here now. A couple other things to note here. There is an accelerate. We'll actually zoom in so you can see this more clearly. It's not 0 to 100. Right? Watch. He takes a little bit to speed up. Doesn't feel like a lot, but there's a little bit of a slowdown. So he takes maybe a quarter of a second to get to full speed and a quarter of a second to slow down. Which is why if you're moving around like this, he's never going to give up that speed. So this is all probably boring, redundant stuff to you guys, but we're going to get that out of the way here. Now, let's get a couple probes made over here. So this looks like a normal game. Now, a couple things you've probably experienced is trying to get a probe off of minerals. And it gets stuck sometimes, right? And that can be annoying. Like we want to get this guy out. It's hard to get him out, right? They get stuck. And let's take a look at it if we were to do this. Build Pylon here. Look at how much longer that takes to get that guy out. Let's do it again. Make Pylon. Oh, he actually got out pretty quickly. Let's try again. So see, they tend to get tangled up on each other. And here's the reason why for that. Probes, when they're mining, will go through anything. Friend or foe. Anything that is a unit. So not a building, as an example. But they will just ghost through stuff. And so, let's say I want to get this probe out quickly. Watch this. If I tell it to right-click, like it's mining, even though there's no geyser here, it'll immediately ghost through everything. Did you guys see that? If we right-clicked here, let me get some more probes so this is really congested. So look, it immediately goes out. There's no geyser there. You can right-click here. Look, he's fucking stuck. Totally annoying, right? But even with no geyser, we can right-click like that. He just ghosts immediately out. Now, this might actually not seem like a lock, right? It's huge because you want to be able to get your probes out immediately to make stuff. So let's say I want to make a cybernetics core, right? I never want to do BY and then and wait for him to go. Okay, this is going to take too long. It's not efficient. Instead, we go like this. And you get B, and you wait until he's right there. Y, boom. Okay? The full set of commands. Okay, I see some of you guys didn't know about this. That's good. I was wondering how many people actually knew about this. Right-click. Right-click on the ground once he's out. Y, shift, right-click back to the minerals, and we're done. So, you want to think of moves like this almost like it's a combo in a fighting game. Like quarter circle, or like, you know, fireball in Street Fighter, quarter circle forward, punch. Or quarter circle forward, all three punches. You want to think of these inputs like that. So these commands are string together. Right-click, BY, shift, right-click back. Does that make sense, chat? And just to be clear, I could do BE click, right-click, shift back. They'll go back. Yeah, that's default hotkey, dandies. Okay, so these things matter immensely. Excuse me. To just do things quickly. Why click on gas? Because just like when we mind move with minerals, they'll go through everything. Look, he ghosts through. Whereas if we click on the ground, he just moves there. See how he's stuck now? This guy's stuck. Gas click, moves through. We can also do this on other spots of the map. If I want to get him out, I can right-click there, and he'll pull himself out. Okay? Now I'm going to show you guys another thing a lot of people don't know about that's in the game. Hold on, I need to get a probe that has... So, see this guy's got minerals here, right? Like, let's say he made a pylon. What do we tell him to do, guys? What is the command we tell this probe to do now that he's made a pylon? Like, not assuming that we don't want him to build more stuff. Very good. Refrigerator knows the answer. C. How many of you guys knew that about the C button? Because I've met plenty of people that are actually decent in rank that don't. So if they're holding minerals, C just tells this guy to go back home and return the minerals. So if his hands were empty, BP, go right-click here, shift right-click onto the minerals. But if he has a mineral in his hands, like this guy, BP, shift-click C. This is only for a StarCraft 1. Okay, so let's go to the next part here. I'm sure you guys all know this, but for the uninitiated, we just have to go over this. Let's say that there's a zealot that's going to come attack my probes. A couple things to keep in mind. First of all, the probe attack is ranged. We're going to be going over a lot more of this a little bit later, but it's got a little bit of range to it, which makes it insanely fucking good when fighting melee units. So, we already know about this move, right? Look, they all go in a ghost line here. They'll all go in a...
You guy in the chat, you need to scout more? Fuck you.
Hey, thank you, Attractive, for subbing. So let's say... Now, you can see we make this chain of probes, right? This centipede of probes moving when we right-click. And it's great. We have a fight coming. Let's say the zealot's going to come in here and attack. A-click. Now look at this zealot stuck. Now, because that's my zealot, nothing's going to happen. But if that was an enemy zealot, all these probes are going to be attacking while this zealot is trying to find footing on the ground. And this is fucking crazy. Because in Broodwar, one of the things that did not come over from StarCraft 2, or that they not transfer into StarCraft 2, is the AI will always attack another attacking unit first. That's correct, Just. It's the same with drones. So if I have a zealot in this mix, and I'm attacking with my probes, and his zealot, if he's not manually controlling it, his zealot will try to attack my zealot while my probes get in the way and body block and do damage. This is also true for Zerglings, for anything melee. So it's extremely important that you're comfortable moving your probes around and getting them familiar with the dancing. Dan calls this dancing. But you guys see what it is, right? The unit has to find surface area again. The probes do as well, but they can still attack because they have this weird ranged attack. Same with drones. And so you'll even see things like, let's say my zealot's coming here, and I'm going to attack here, and he goes like that. You'll see me pull away, right? And he'll come back over there like that. Let's say I attack once, pull away. And so this basically makes this area and this area in fights the most deadly with your probes. Right? Let's say that there's a zealot, you know, we have a unique situation, right? Let's say I've got stuff here, there's Zerglings coming up this way. And I know I'm going to need to use my probes to help the fight out, right? If I've got vision of this geyser, look. I'm right-clicking here. Let's say the zealots are getting to the ramp, or Zerglings are getting to the ramp. Boom. I can fight. I start to lose it. Right-click back. They'll ghost back through. I can right-click forward. They'll come back. And so this is incredibly powerful. And this is how... And the reason why I'm showing you guys this is that even if you mess up a lot against a player, and you're both of low MMR, the thing that makes Broodwar interesting is you can do so much with the units if you know how to use these techniques, that even if you make a mistake, you can fuck them up anyways in a fight. You can do what you can take it to a huge advantage in a fight. Okay. So, what we learned already, guys. Let's say that we have a zealot come in here. He attacks me. We kill the zealot off, right? What do? We to get him back to going, right-click here, and then hit C. So the probes that have the minerals immediately go back and return. The probes that don't immediately mine again. Because we want to be able to mine quickly. Did you guys see that again? Do you want me to do that again? I'm getting no traction with chat here. So, a zealot attacks me here, right? We attack him. We've just killed the zealot. Boom. Now we right-click here, hit C. The probes that had the minerals immediately return to the nexus. The probes without minerals return to the mineral patches. Yeah, you can hit C right after you right-click on minerals, and it's good. No, you do not have to wait for them to start mining. You can actually overlap the commands. Okay, so this is a question I get asked a lot from StarCraft 2 people, and it's a good question because if you're serious at all about StarCraft 2, it's one of the first things you learn, right? So, hold on, question in the chat. What is Shift-C? Why Shift-C? Well, you can use Shift-C. Let's say this guy has a mineral. Okay, so he's going to mine his mineral, but this happens to be the probe I wanted him to build. Let's make a pylon. B, E, Shift, C. Because I did Shift C as a shift command, he immediately returned the mineral, and then he goes back and automatically mines. See that? Now, I want to tell you guys, excuse me, when I show people this, I feel like a lot of times their eyes glaze over, and they're just like, well, yeah, I mean, sure. If you are very good at doing this, you are just going to be ahead against a player who's not good at this. No, they do not have to be in a certain range. That's a great question, MYSTXD. They can be on the opposite side of the fucking map. And they will just go to the closest nexus. It's a very powerful tool. Because when you think of... I mean, the difficulty with playing Broodwar is that it is chaos, right? And a lot of times, you have to micromanage certain things and have the ability to set other tasks up so that you're going to be okay. And let's say you have a fight, or there's a worker with minerals or whatever, you can hit C, it goes right back to doing it. Okay, so the question StarCraft 2 people are always asking is, what is the right amount of probes on each patch? Because in StarCraft 2... you have 2 probes on each patch and they sync up. Now, this is a thing that they fixed. The simple answer for beginners is just keep making probes. Just keep making probes. And there are usually timestamps. If you are consistently making probes and you have a proper mental timestamp, like let's say at 110 supply in a PvT, you know if you made probes the whole time, you can stop making probes. That's the way to do it. Some matchups, some situations need more probes than others.
It's so bad! You can lose to players because they're bad! I prove it!
Hey, thank you, Tarok666. But what's more important... Actually, can I slow the game down here? Game speed. Let's get this much slower. Let's move this up. Actually, just a little bit. Sorry, a second. All right. So, watch this. Let's say I make them all mine here. Watch the probe's behavior. We right-click. Now, in StarCraft 2, they would move up to this area, right? You guys notice pretty quickly they're not, right? They're just not moving. Now, they may eventually get bounced. See, here comes one up here. Eventually, they may filter up here. Yep, see, they're slowly figuring it out. And so, let's say that you got to go here. You always want to try to get some split of them everywhere. And this is going to happen when you get rushed and you're attacked. You want to be aware that this is not as cleanly automated, which means it's why you'll see when pro gamers transfer, they'll go like this. Shift deselect, shift deselect, shift deselect. Because they need them to have the proper spread. And so, in basically all your games, the goal is going to be just keep making probes. You should always be having probes come out, unless there's a point in time where you're going to cut off because you're going to do an all-in. That is correct, Dan MD. If you do not have the proper spread, they will not mine as quickly. So this means you might be playing better than your opponent overall, but you did this after a rush, and then you went back to, you know, move your zealots around the map. And you didn't realize they never really came back up here in time, and it was like you were mining from 5 mineral patches instead of the 9 that you actually have. You'll also notice some patches, this is where it gets really crazy, some patches are better than others. This is a common location, these patches up here. This tends to be a good patch to mine from because the probe just slides in and out. Well, sometimes because they're closer, but not all these probes will mine in a straight line. Let me pull this back up to full speed here. Now, I can't give you the answer for every base, but notice that this is a almost perfectly straight line. Now, let's try some of these other patches. The patches themselves will interfere with movement, that's correct. So these are 2 good patches. And they fixed this on some of these maps. But you'll find patches where they, if you watch my pointer, they'll go like that. It's different for every map, but if you start to notice weird stuff, like your probe, whoops, mined here, and then let's pretend that he has, here, let's let him mine the mineral. I'm gonna make it move as if it had the bad pull. And then he does something like that. You've got a bad patch. There's not a lot you can do except you don't want to be, with your first few probes, you don't want to be mining from a patch like that. Does that make sense? So, I can't give you guys the cliff notes for every mineral patch everywhere. Yeah, you're correct. This base does seem to be pretty good for patches. But you just should be cognizant that this is something you might encounter. Okay? That's right. Sometimes you can put buildings in the way to correct it. You'll see a lot of Terrans. They'll put a depot here. Well, here, I'll show you guys. Just even though this is a probe lesson. SCV normally spawns here. Okay, so let's just move this over here. I'll show you guys an example of this, too, with buildings. Oh, we're going to get to Manor Pylons. Don't worry, Supernova. So normally the SCV spawns at the door here, right? At the ramp. Even though he looks like he's too big for the ramp, to be honest. If we put a depot here, and obviously we're mining from here, watch. He'll spawn at the right, which means he gets to the mineral patch faster when he comes out. See that? That's an idea there. One of the reasons you'll see me put a pylon here, or you'll see Zergs do this with the Sunken Colony a lot, is it makes this area more deadly when we're probe drilling. It makes it even more congested and boxy. Okay, so I want to get now... Wait, do we have any questions? Just on the economics of using probes. Any questions on just on these are the basics, but you want to kind of, how many per gas? 3 per gas. There are some weird spots you'll need 4, but it's pretty rare. Be very careful about what you make around here, because if you interfere with your gas, it'll actually hiccup your progress so much that at high levels it'll mess the game up. Yeah, 4 if the gas is under, but people don't really... There's not really maps like that. There's one map where you have 2 gases. That's Optimizer. So, now we're going to go to tactics. This is going to be more fun. This is more interesting, but I want to really tell you guys you need to practice just moving probes here. It's just so fucking important. So, the probe's attack is actually ranged, but he will occasionally get... The weird thing with the probe is that you have to be very gentle with him in certain situations because he'll actually kind of get magnetically pulled to stuff. So you can see, he can be right here and do damage to the pylon. This is maybe a little bit too far away. Or he can be here. Now that means a lot in StarCraft. Where'd my Zealot go? Does that mean no damage in Darkstorm? Yeah, probes do not do damage in Darkstorm. So see this? The Zealot can move through here. So that means a lot. We're gonna do. I'm gonna show you guys a few things with Zealots just because there's so much stuff they do with probes. Here, make a pool here. So let's say that this SCV is trying to get up here. Let's say that there's a ton of attacking units. Now these Zealots block the way, right? This SCV cannot get up here, right? But check this out, because my probe has a ranged attack. He can still hit the SCV through here. Do you see that? So the probe, in combination with the Zealot, is actually extremely strong at a ramp. One of the famous things in the game is that a Zealot takes 3 hits to kill a Zergling, but a Zealot and a probe take 2. And so in moments like that, these things are very strong together. Now, have you guys noticed the probe has no hold position command? There's a secret way to make the hold position. Yeah, it's a weird thing. They didn't come with that, right? But the Zealot has hold position. Okay? So the question is, how do you make a probe hold position? Like when you watch Bisu play and all those lings are coming, how does he actually make that probe not move in between the forge and the gateway? How does he get his probes to stop? That's right. Crossguns nailed it. If you select a Zealot and a probe, or any number of Zealots and probes together, and hit hold position, it'll give the command to this probe as well. So let's say, so let's say that we had Zealots coming to this ramp, right? Now the problem normally is like if we were to attack one probe, he immediately runs away. Probes will just be moved away unless they're being told to attack something. But if we tell him to attack down here, he's going to get surrounded too. But if we go like this and hit hold position on both, the probe's not going to move. Even when attacked. Does not move. See that? That's crazy for situations where you need to just like lock out a bunch of lings attacking you. Now think of how many games you've lost because of lings attacking you, right? Every Protoss player knows a story. So this is like groundbreaking for those of you who didn't know this. I'll show you guys another tactic. Now, again, what I'm going to show you guys, I don't want you to get too caught up in trying to do. What's more important is the earlier stuff I was showing you, but let me give you an example here. The probe's range attack can actually hit the workers through the patch, I think, if I do this right. Yeah, see? Now he's attacking. He's attacking this through the patch. So watch this. Oh shit, we're about to mine this out. I need these patches to be here so I can show you guys. Why does that range feel so long? Because it is, man. At certain angles, it's huge. So look at this. You guys have ever rushed a Zerg who's mining drones here? Let's pretend this is a drone. He can attack it. You see that? And let's say a Zergling comes down here. Sorry. So if I get these exactly where I need them to be and put hold position. Now, obviously, this is my Zergling, so it's not going to automatically attack it, but watch. It can hit this too. The Zergling cannot get this probe. Or, if it does, you go like that. Yeah, it can hit the drone through the patch. That's correct. I'm excited to see some of you guys don't know this. This is really useful stuff. This is what these are the kind of things that we're allowing pros to just fuck up. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they were better, but to fuck up non-Koreans, because it's like every situation they just know exactly how to take advantage of the situation. A lot of little engagements is just about knowledge of how to execute the task. So a situation like this, in which there's lots of Lings trying to attack you, it's great to get stuck. Get this stuck back here. Drones can do the same thing too, that's right, cross guns, but then you just right-click back here and they can't reach you again, and their mining's messed up. Okay, next thing I'm going to show you guys. So the probe has a moving shot. Now, this is something you'll see me try to do, and I'm not good at it. So the probe can actually... I'm going to try to do this to my probe here. Actually, here, let me go out here and try to do this. You can moving shot with a probe. See if I can do this right. So I'm tracing him, right? Oh, shit, I messed it up. This is easier to do if you have an actual enemy unit in the game, because you can just right-click on A-click on the ground. So see this? And that's me A-clicking on it. But that's a moving shot you can actually do with a probe, because it has range. And because its attack it's not like a Dragoon. It doesn't shoot a little, I don't know, plasma ball out of the top of its head. And so sometimes when you have an enemy probe with one click, you immediately... You click and immediately click A move, or A move, yeah. I mean, keep in mind, these are my units I'm attacking, so I can't quite demonstrate it perfectly. All right, now we're going to get to Manor Pylon. Only we're going to have to go to a new spot on the map because we've mined this out. So let's go to the top left. All right, we actually already have a probe up here. So Manor Pylon, I think people came up with this about 6 years into the game being out. And it was just devastating what it did. Alright. So, what you want to look for are these gaps here. These are exciting spots if you're a Protoss player, and particularly in PvP. Manor Pylon cannot be done in PvZ. You can do it in PvT. Just do not do this in PvT. Because really this is just a PvP thing. But I'm just going to show you this concept here. So, you see these gaps, right? Here, here, here. Now, if I come in here, and this is why you want to use my hotkey setup. This will allow you to get the pylon up very quickly. Now, look, sometimes there's an opening, sometimes there's not. That time there's an opening, so you want to time this out really well. Now, that traps this probe inside of here. Why can't I do it in a PVZ? Because there'll be creep on the ground. That's correct, Crossguns. Originally, it was just considered a shitty thing to do in the game. And then people mathed it out. And if you have one probe trapped, they are hurting. They are hurting a lot. Now, here's something also important to note with that. Okay? Watch my probe try to mine from this patch. Watch his path now. All the way around to the back. All the way around. You see this? So this is the second part of why the Manor Pylon's strong. It's not just about the probe that it trapped. It's about the fact that now, keep in mind that whatever patch you right-clicked on is not going to be the patch that probe mines at forever. They bounce around to different patches. So watch this. I'm going to have more probes mining here. Like, let's say, so this would be like a decent amount. Now, as the game goes on, let me just see if it'll... Yeah, so see now more probes are getting sent to the back. So it's not actually... Again, you got to imagine that in a game with two good players, you're still making probes constantly. More and more probes get pulled to the back. Watch what happens if I do it, if I get a second one up here. Now look at this. So now probes are going to be pulled to this patch as well. Or they will. I mean, I don't... Okay, there they go. One's doing it now. See that? Now imagine I am running through your base with a zealot attacking probes. I don't just have to try to get the trapped one. I can run to the back and fuck up these guys. And there's no real easy way for them to just stop them from going to the back, right? Other than just pure micromanagement. Now, somebody in the chat was saying you can get him out with the C button. That's right. If you get... actually, it's the S button is better. Now, you can glitch him out, right? And to do that, you just right-click. Especially on the Geyser. Geyser pulls him out the strongest in my experience. But it doesn't matter, because we're still pulling probes back here. Now, if I'm mining perfectly, I wish I had a better... If I still had minerals here, because then we would see. This just hurts. Now, they want to kill the Pylon. But what if I have my own zealot? Now, let's pretend this is his zealot. What if I have a zealot back here doing this? Then he has to stop and chase my zealot. And then if he attacks me, I just keep running. And I'm taking free shots on these probes back here. Does that make sense? Why is this not popular in StarCraft 2? Because you start out with many, many more workers in StarCraft 2. You start out with 4 in StarCraft 1. So you're able to... You can Manor Pylon somebody in StarCraft 1 before they would have even gotten to as many workers as they started with in StarCraft 2. That's why we have more interesting rushes usually in StarCraft 1, because the early game has a different pacing to it. So, this is good only if you're going to pressure them, okay? And I encourage you guys to try this, but you're going to realize pretty quickly it's hard to do, but I want you guys to understand the mechanics of this. So, the Manor Pylon has more features than just that. Okay? I'm sure you guys have seen people put a pylon, like let's say that there's a... This guy wants to put a hatchery over here. If your probe's about to die, you can always just do this. Wait a second. Let's turn off the sped up building thing. So, occasionally, if you're trying to stop Zerg from making a hatch and there's no other way to do it, you can just put a pylon here This drone can't take it, and you let that pylon almost finish and you cancel. Okay? Now again, I don't want you to try all these things. I just want you to be aware that these are things that probes can do. Yeah, that is correct. You can place a pylon behind minerals. I think we'll have a separate episode on cannon rushing. How do I stop the Manor pylon in the mineral line? You just have to have your probes over this box area to block it. You'll usually be able to tell if they're going to do it because they'll have this kind of movement where they seem to be kind of trying to swing in and get it like right. And so sometimes you can actually flick attack like that. Like you can have all your probes kind of flick onto theirs and just kill it. But it happens even at pro level, man. It makes PvP a very explosive matchup. Just very briefly, I'm going to touch upon this because I want to go into this more later here, but I think this blocks. So like, this drone can't get back here. Okay, there are certain spots, certain maps where you can make a pylon wall, and we'll get to this later because I don't want you guys to just start out cannon rushing. Because cannon rushing's good, but if you just only know how to do that, you're not gonna know how to play a normal game. I have a forge made here. But you could put a hat. You can do this. Oh, that's funny. That doesn't have the range for it. I guess you have to have the cannon one more over. So with Terran early on in the probe, let's do this.
Yes, sir. Orders received. Job's finished.
Try this one more time. One thing I want you guys to remember early on, PvT, because we just did PvP with the Manor Pylon. And PvZ, it's pretty. I mean, I'll do more cannon rush stuff, but really, it's more about why is the Manor Pylon bad in PvT? That's a great question because they have Marines. And so let's say that I got an SCV here and a Manor Pylon. He can just put the Marine here. The Marine will attack this if my Zealot gets close. The Marine will attack the Zealot. If my Zealot runs away, my Marine will attack the Pylon again. So sometimes it's good, but usually, if you're in a situation where you're rushing the Terran, you want to be getting up to Dragoons quickly, not Pylons in their worker line. No equivalent in ZVZ, no. No equivalent like Manor Creep Colony. The problem for ZVZ is that you just don't have a lot of workers. So the idea of just, making something like that to slow down their one worker, you're still probably losing more money. So, the probe, again, it has a range attack. You want to be right-clicking. Oh, fuck, I forgot this. Second. Let's go out here and make this. Okay, so remember what I was saying earlier at the start of level? You always want to be right-clicking. You can be right-clicking, A-click, right-clicking, A-click onto the unit in this case. If it's going in the right direction, you can see how quick those probe bites can be. Whoops. So watch how I control this here. Now, we don't know. The Terran and the Protoss both don't know where the SV is going to go, but you can kind of, when you're running around, try to A-click. Always keep this probe on the move here. This is my pinky on the A key here. And I right-click the moment I see the animation come out. I almost preempt it, really. And you're going to be able to kill an SCV pretty quickly here. And one thing to keep in mind, guys, in a PvT, Terrans are not healing. Okay? Yes, SCVs can repair other SCVs, but they're not regenning shields or regenning HP like a drone does, or shields like a probe does, right? Yes, correct, Dan MD, yeah. So, when you're fighting a Terran, there's one small thing you got to remember. Any damage a Marine takes, permanent. SCV takes, is for all intensive purposes, it's permanent. They can heal it. They're in the early game, they're very low on resources and options. Now, I'm going to show you guys some stuff that will probably work at your MMR. No disrespect, but I mean, just this is stuff that I think you guys will probably be able to dunk on people with. All right. Let's say we're rushing the Terran. This will only matter if we're rushing the Terran, right? We got a Zealot coming towards them, or a Dragoon. They were slowed down. Medics are trash in PvT because Medic Marine is pretty bad. Mech is far superior. So, you guys might have not seen this, but this is a great way to dunk on a newbie player. Here, we'll just do this here. Whatever. Who cares? Just pretend this is a man. You guys are smart. Now, obviously, this guy, we have Dragoons coming at him, right? And we slowed him down for making an eBay. This is, I think I've done this once in the year that I'm streaming, but this is just to give you guys an idea of stuff you can do. We see this is about to finish. Shit. So I can make this right here. Everything shits on Medic Marine in PvT, unless they do a very surprise timing attack. So look, I can make this here. He can't make his add-on. Let's pretend there's no Marines around. Oh, I need to move this. No, not anymore, because now I'm underneath your factory. I just keep right-clicking on the factory. He literally can't fucking land this shit. Okay? You ever had these games where... okay, let's pretend this is a full wall here, okay? This is this is us cheesing here, right? But let's pretend... Imagine that there were a bunch of Zealots where these SCVs are, right? But he's got the full wall. My Zealots can't get there yet, but he lifts for a second, okay? He wants to get his something back here, right? You can run in there, put a Pylon, and then take your Zealots, and he can't land it again. He has to move this shit, and you just fucking run in and kill him. Now, again, these are unique situations, but the fact of the matter is that because you can just make a Pylon out of thin air with a probe, and it will just continue to gain HP, is so strong. Now, again, these are very, very circumstantial things, and at the higher level, they don't become a factor as much. But that's just something to keep in mind here. Okay? That, like, you can do that. Now, let's pretend this is a PvT up here. This is one of the big ones, right? We've taken his gas now, right? This is a big play. We've all seen people do this in PvT. Oh, there's one other thing I forgot to tell you guys. You can actually grab stuff and use the G key, gather resources on an assimilator that's not finished, and they will ghost through everything. Watch this. G. Look, they just go as if it's mining, and they'll wait there until it's time, and I think they just go right in, I believe. Let's see. No, I stand corrected. Okay. You have to do it one more time. Okay, so let's say that this is done, right? There's a bunch of SCVs attacking this. Okay, because you only steal gas in PvT. Let me actually just do this here, because this is... I don't want to get it too confusing when I'm making you guys imagine stuff. So, let's say we stole his gas.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
Okay, so this probe's going to take this gas.
TV good to go, sir.
Now, they're going to have their SCVs attack this, right? You'll see this a lot. If they don't attack it, we'll go over that in a lesson eventually, but...
SCV good to
Huh?
go, sir.
Oh, why not steal the gas in other matchups? That's a great question, Jake. They don't need the gas as badly in the other matchups. Terran have a funny situation early on in that their tier 1 stuff, like Marines, are bad. They have to get into tier 2. It's so critical they get gas. And so, especially for lower players, it's a little bit scary to take gas with a very good player because they're so good at shutting this down. But remember our rule. I'm going to slow the game down, actually, to show you guys this. So, let's say he's got all these SCVs attacking this. This is on slow game speed, right?
Orders received.
I can right-click this patch. Now watch this. Spam S, spamming S, spamming S, spamming S, loop back around, and interrupt the attacking of that, right? Let's do it again. S, S, like that. And I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot, but it does. They need gas very quickly. I mean, just... So, the trick is that when you right-click on mineral patches or gas, they ghost through everything. But when you tell a probe to stop, suddenly there's 2 objects stacked on top of each other, and the game has to rectify that by placing you both on terrain. And of course, when the geyser dies, if you're too close to it, whoops, that was actually dumb. He like spawns out there. You'll get pushed back. So you always, if you can retake the gas again, you can do it like that. So, biggest takeaways. I mean, obviously there's those cool tricks. The Manor Pylon. You can block off certain locations with the pylons. Do not try this on maps unless you've tested it, because I'll probably do this in a lesson later on. But gas steal, all this stuff. They've got a lot of cool tricks, but what's important to remember is that probes are good at fighting. When right-clicked on stuff, they will bunch up, and the AI will always choose to attack a Zealot or a Dragoon or a Zergling or a Marine over a worker in a fight, even if it's all workers doing damage. Does that make sense, guys? Any questions? I think we basically did it for probe today. And again, if you're watching this, please go watch the first video too. These are all meant to be chained together. Any questions, chat? Just it's exclamation point YouTube. You can find it in my chat here. Whoops. YouTube. Yeah, ask away. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, support the channel. No questions, guys? How to block the ramp. Excellent question. I actually forgot about that. So...
Thanks for the cool BW lesson.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, buddy. Okay, this is actually a good one I kind of forgot to bring up. So, on this map, the easy way to think about it is any, like, circuit breakers, any map with that blue space tile set, those ramps are too big to block with a probe. There might be one or two exceptions for that, but the general rule is no. So let's zoom in on this. I believe this spot on this ramp is right here. Let's see if I'm right. I think this isn't right, actually. Let's see if he bounces off. Okay, this is working because he's not going through. So the trick is, when you zoom in, on this spot, it looks like there's like a little thing here, look. See how that almost looks like it's worn down, like the probe's been sitting there? Like, you know, it's like an old couch and someone just sat on one spot of the couch for a long time. Now, each of the units are slightly different sizes. This was something I mean, people kind of feel differently about it, but they kind of fixed it. No, the probe, now let's pretend we're in a game where we have to block something with just a probe here. Probe does not do hold position on its own. We already went over that, right? It has to have a zealot. So if there's nothing we can do, so I think, let's see if we can, did I do it right again? Okay, so we can't get through again. What I want to do is I want to spam S, like this. See the bottom right of the screen? See my X, is the blinking light there? You just spam S. And I mentioned this in the other video, guys, but you need to think of your keyboard like it's a gamepad, almost like it's a fighting stick. Okay, you need to put in a lot of inputs. You need to really be physical. It's a physical game, okay? You need to be very engaged with it. You need to spam, and don't focus on APM. If you're somebody who has the APM ticker on your screen, just turn it off, because you don't want to be thinking about that. If you're playing correctly, your APM will pick up. Just go watch my hotkey video, Zion. I'll answer all that. I want to actually answer this one question. If you do not have vision of an area, like let's say we right-click on these minerals, he will not ghost through it. This is not a ghosting move. Okay? So, like, when I do this, they're not going to ghost. It's just like if I right-clicked on the ground. If you've ever had anybody ghost into your base, and you don't know how on earth they did that, it means that they had vision before inside your base with another worker, and they right-clicked on the minerals. To spam stop here is, you do that because there's a chance if whatever you're trying to block gets close here, the probe might chase it, it might get pushed away. Keep in mind that will stop another probe from coming in. It doesn't work against Zerglings. It doesn't work against tinier units. For instance, if there's an Ultralist coming, and I needed to block it just with one probe for whatever reason, it's not that hard to get the right spot because the thing is so big, it doesn't matter. Zerglings is another whole story. To get a full block against Lings, the bare minimum is this combination. You can block with 2 probes, but... Yeah, you can block with 2 probes. But you're not going to buy that much time. This is a full block against Lings, but they'll always attack the probe. Some of the more advanced stuff you guys are asking, we're going to get to that eventually. I really want to get more bare bones stuff here. Can I block the probes moving behind the mineral patches with Pylon mineral pounds? Yes, you can. You guys are asking great questions. I'm actually really glad we're doing this live. So let's say that we have the, let's get our probes all mining over here. You can stop these probes that are going around here like this by doing this. That'll work. It's not ideal. Oh, I should actually do this. Here, 1 second. Kill these off. I almost forgot to show you guys this. Shit. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit disorganized with this. Options, game speed. So there's another way to prevent this. Because you guys are just going to be dealing with this a lot. Let me just kill these pylons. So you can also try to prevent... Now you want to be careful doing this. Watch this. You can make a pylon here and they can't Manor pylon block. See that? Problem is they can do it here. But you can do it here and they can't. This position, by the way, happens to be an extremely Manor pylon-able place. But you can also block out their Manor pylon with your own pylon. See that? A lot of times if you realize they're two-gating you and they're rushing you, like they got gateways in your base, second pylon goes here. Or somewhere like that, right? Where they can't quite get in there. Any more questions? Moving shot. I went over that earlier in the video, but I mean, you basically just right-click and then A-click on the thing, or it's a little bit hard to do. I did go over it earlier on the video. Any more questions about the actual lesson, guys? Like the probes and stuff? Any patrol micro tricks? No. You can't actually patrol with probes. That's another thing. If you didn't notice already, it's not here. That's not on the list of commands for a probe. Optimal amount, people. Technically, the number is 2.5 per patch, but the answer really is just keep making probes. What do you mean mining, stopping, mining, disable minerals? I don't know what you mean, conger balls. Yeah, you could get a probe on hold position and patrol them, sure. But I don't know why you would. I don't know why that helps. So here they go. It's like synchronized swimming over here. But I mean, there's not a real moment where this is something you need to do here. Any more questions, guys? Final round here for how to use probes. Oh, I understand now. Okay, yeah, sure. So let's say that this is an enemy player, and they're mining here. Okay, I see what you're saying. Let's say I want to interrupt. Now, see this? I'm mining from their patch. Do you see that? Now what I can do is I can hit stop and then do it again, and stop and do it again, and stop and do it again, and stop and do it again, and keep doing this, and they're not mining from this patch that's highlighted here. This is really only viable sometimes against Zerg. It is probably not a good use of your APM. So I recommend you don't do it. It's a trick you can do. It's not a good habit to form. It's just a bad habit to form. You need your probe moving, getting information. And guys, another thing to keep in mind, just on a closing note, when you scout them, you need to get out of their base. You can't keep your probe inside their base until you're you know, dead. No, Conger, don't do that either. If you steal their gas, I mean, you can steal a gas and then you can steal a mineral. This is not stuff that's going to help you. There's very specific things when you're doing this that you have to do. I mean, you basically have to know what you're doing ahead of time. We're going to break down those situations more, but you can stop them from mining from certain patches by using your probe and canceling it. I know that's common in StarCraft 2, but it's not, you don't want to do it here. There's other stuff you need to do. Oh, and if anybody ever makes a cannon, like behind your mineral patch, I know this spot they can't do it. You can always group them up here, spam S, and then right-click some of them through, and they'll get to the other side. Easier said than done, but you can do that. You can glitch them through stuff. I'll go over that in another video, Dan. Question, can you move larvae similar to that depot trick for SCVs? Can I move, do you mean, can I put a Zerg building down and move the larvae to the side? I don't actually know. Yeah, I went over that earlier, Cryptic. Yeah, we use the return resource hockey all the time. Yeah, you can make larva move. Guys, this is not what over the probe, guys. I just we want to keep this topical here because I'm going to end this video and upload it to YouTube. Any other questions about the probe?
Fucking asshole. God damn it.
Thank you, Bob Villa 111. Appreciate you. Yes, one more question. How do I get him to jump behind the mineral line? You just spam it out. I would just open up the game, do what I did, put in the cheat codes, get all the minerals, all the races, just do mind control, steal everything, and then just play around with it, and I think you'll figure it out. All right, guys, we're going to end the lesson. Again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps me. We are a very small YouTube channel, and I'm trying to get this to as many people as possible. And tell a friend. Leave a comment in the comment section, I guess. Whatever YouTubers ask you to do, that's what I need you to do.